So, Mike, how was your week?
It was. Sorry, just jumped at me like that. I wasn't ready. It was good. It was good. I've had a busy few weeks actually. I'm a little bit hoarse actually because the rugby yesterday. We won't talk about it too much.
Were you at the game?
Yeah. So I was with Lodge in the box there, and yeah, it's just I do the mature thing now. I've reached an age where I just aim to get drunk early and go home early, and that. So yeah, I've lost my voice a bit from the shouting or talking with one of the two, and that. So yes, but it's good. So it's a highlight, low light of the week there. But it's no. I was at the Southern Mini Conference yesterday as well. You were missed.
Thank you.
I think your name only came up in. It's usually followed by a curse or something like that.
Brilliant.
It was yeah, it's good. No, it's interesting. It's good because there's a lot of the full arch stuff, which it's not me, but it's still cool to know about. But it's really fun, great people, great vibe, and then yeah, good week in work as well. So can't complain. Yourself? You had a good week? I mean, I just admire you coming in on a Sunday. I mean, I text Flo and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm coming there at midday, and she's like, I'm already here. I'm like, have you gone home?
Flo's been here since 7.
Yeah.
on Friday.
Yeah. She's never left. Just curl up on the sofa.
we normally record on a Sunday evening, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we swapped it around today. I'll let you talk about your week, and then we'll talk about why.
I've had a good week. It's been a bit of hard work this week. I've just been a bit non-stop, covering sort of different shifts here and there. I worked out my next actual proper day off is the 8th of December. So
Okay.
It's been a whirlwind of like prison shifts.
Sorry, you have a day off in 2024. You are winning.
I am winning. Yes, but I was in Bristol yesterday. Had a good load of facial aesthetics, which was really good fun.
Are you doing any dentistry there, or is it just aesthetics you're doing in Bristol?
Just aesthetics in
Cool.
Bristol. But yeah, it's growing, and I'm really enjoying that side of it. It's just nice, I think, to have a little break from dentistry every now and then. So, which is good. But Ali, how was your week?
I had a really busy week. It was a good week, but it was really busy this week. So I was meant to be speaking at the mini conference that Mike was at the Principality Stadium. Principality Stadium?
So they had it in the Radisson Blue, and then
Got you. Okay, and then went across
everyone
to
went on
rugby.
en masse then across
Cool.
the rugby there, yeah.
Because Graham, the owner of Southern, had come, and obviously South Africa were playing Wales, so it's a South African company, so they made a thing of it. Really cool. But sad to miss out, but I actually had a really good day. I was in Birmingham teaching on implant immediacy with Abdul Osman. The really nice cohort, really cool group. And I guess, Mike will attest to this. He runs amazing courses. I think the thing about people who are teaching is they're doing it because they actually love teaching. And when people leave going, I got something out of it, it's worthwhile. But then on the way back, I was on the train and Aston Villa were playing in Birmingham, so I was like squashed up against glass for an hour standing. And I got to the train in Cardiff, and I didn't remember the rugby was on, so I was squashed up against the glass all the way home there. And then yeah, we're recording early today because I'm driving straight to Bournemouth, and working on a full arch with Harry, who you guys know.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's a bit busy week, but really really nice things happening. Yeah.
Cool. I did my VT down in Bournemouth, or GPT when I did it, so it was like a 2-year thing. Poole and Bournemouth.
Cool.
So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool part of the world.
Would you have stayed there?
No, I did buy a house there, but I'm gonna hopefully not offend anyone, but I find it's lacking a bit of soul.
Okay. Is that because like it's mostly people visiting, or is that because
I think so, yeah.
It's like an elderly seaside population?
The population's way more dense than I'm used to, being a little country boy from Wales, you know. But,
Okay.
And so, yeah, and like things like summer was just like en masse. And I guess I like lakes and mountains, and there's less of that. So ended up, yeah. It's cool. It's beautiful though. Like it's loads of it that I do miss on that side. I used to sneak down there early. On a down the beach early on a Saturday morning to do like plyometric training, because I think it's more of a thing, like fitness is at the forefront, but when I was I'm sure we get on to like racing bikes and that, it wasn't. And so we're talking 2010, And so plyometrics is just jumping around. So the beach is great with the sand. So I'll just be there at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning, jumping off rocks on the beach on my own, which is why I didn't want people around.
Why does that not surprise me that that's what you were doing?
So yeah.
It's dedication, though.
Yeah.
So the voice we heard there is Dr. Mike Gray, and in 2009 he graduated from Bristol Dental School by securing an unprecedented number of academic accolades. Following his graduation, Dr. Gray dedicated 4 years to intensive postgraduate training within the hospital system, while also taking time to pursue his hobby, which is mountain bike racing at a world level, which was his true passion. Mike also has done clinical placements in the United States and Canada, and it culminated in him getting a certification by the Canadian Dental Board. Currently, Mike specialises in cosmetic dentistry, offering a wide range of treatments from simple composite bonding to the most comprehensive full mouth rehabilitations. His blend of skills with nationally recognised when he won the prestigious restorative category at the Dentistry Clinical Case Awards in 2022 for an outstanding full mouth rehabilitation case. He also has a very popular Instagram account.
Waving right now.
That's why he has a popular account. He's nice to people. He's waving at people. I can't even reach my phone over there. Yeah.
He still does lots of biking, and he also possibly could be a hair model.
I feel like I'm the only one here who couldn't be a hair model.
It's no, there's some good chest hair going on.
Thank you. I got it
See it
myself.
peeking out the top. Oh, that's just a phobia of the hairdresser. People don't like the dentist. I think I struggle quite obviously with the hairdresser. It's that personal space though, isn't it? And it's a big thing that we don't appreciate, I think, a lot, that we're getting in someone's personal space. And because when someone's in mine, aka the hairdresser, I'm like, get out.
Do you really
don't
not
touch
like
me.
it? You don't like people?
Yeah, I'm
coming
like,
in? Okay.
get out of there. So,
I do. It is that having to do the small talk for so long can be quite.
I just the hair wash, like I don't know, when your hair gets longer.
Now you guys are having to mansplain to me what happens at hairdressers.
you get a little, you get your head back in there and get your hair washed, and I'm almost like apologetic. I feel like I'm sorry you're having to wash my hair.
No, it's nice. It gives you a little massage. That bit, I like
no,
that bit.
I'm just awkward, just like no.
Like little dinosaur arms.
Yeah, that too.
So, how did you feel about dentistry when you left dental school?
You know what? I think it's such a hard thing to pick what you want to do and spend your life doing at the time you've got to do it. And so life was just in a bit of a blur and a whirlwind then, and so I wasn't very present because I was just chasing so many things. Mm-hmm. So I didn't go into dentistry because I had a passion for it. I kind of felt it. My mum was a GP and she said don't do medicine, which is a smart choice. RIP NHS, but we won't go into that. But and then my dad's the arty-farty type, I guess, which is why the combination of kind of science and art works well for the cosmetic dentistry. So he was music and art. And he told me to be an osteopath because his osteopath drove a Saab. Yeah, that's all the guidance I had on that. It was actually one of my team managers from racing who was buddies with a dentist, and he's like, oh, he's a good life, do dentistry. So, all right, cool, I'll do that. But I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so then finishing dentistry, dental school, I didn't work until the final year. Because as soon as I found out it's just a pass or a fail, I was like, well, I'm not going to work any harder than I have to. So, but I spent a lot of time, like I was still training and racing mountain bikes at that time. So that was my focus. I wanted to race bikes and just like scrape through. First couple of years, shaved a little too close, sailing a little too close to the wind, because I passed with 50%, and then I was getting like 52 or something like that. So then, bumped my pass up to around about the 60s, and then kept like that. And then it wasn't until final year uni where I actually worked hard. So I knocked the racing on the head for that year, and then actually worked hard and did all right. And everyone's kind of like, Mike, you're right. So suddenly I've gone from like scraping the bottom to like top of the class, and they're like, what's going on? Have you been cheating? But yeah, so left dental school, did that GPT thing, so it was VT and it's just a year in practice and a year in hospital, but that first year in practice you're still going to the hospital, which was cool. So did that amazing. That first year Max Facts, best job I ever did. If anyone is thinking of doing Max Facts and hasn't, you should. I honestly think it should be compulsory, because it teaches you so many skills that apply to life and patients and all that side of things. And the only time you really get in trouble in a dental practice is when it's oral surgery related, I'd say. Because
Sorry, Mike. Sorry to interrupt. Can I ask then, where did you do your Max Facts, and do you think where you did it has influenced how you feel about it?
Oh, no, massively. It's a good question, because where you do it does impact a lot on the type of work that you're going to do. The first place I started out was in Poole Hospital, which was a small hospital, but they did everything. So it was only 3 consultants, like 5 SHOs or something like that, a couple of registrars. And actually, I had way more exposure there than, say, in my last Max Facts job was in Birmingham, which is massive, like QE2. I forget, there was like 11 consultants, and loads of registrars, and had very little hands-on. So you think, go to the big hospital, level 2 trauma center, you see loads of cool stuff, but actually being able to do things, like, nah. Like in my first year Max Facts, I was, plating mandibles, doing zygomas, tracheostomies. Like one of the consultants there, Sajjad Waldi, he was great, because I thought he was taking the piss when I scrubbed in on a tracheostomy, and he's like, okay, you see when you do one. I'm like, all right, cool, yeah, you're not really paying attention. And I'm like, bollocks, I'm a snotty little, I've just come out of dental school. And sure enough, second one, and he's like, cool, there you go. And I was just like, it was horrible.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it was,
really
but
good.
not so good. Like, my nerves are through the roof. But so I got to do, I worked hard though, so I earned it too. Like, there is an element in Max Facts where a lot of it is posturing, which I don't like. But if you work hard, then people, you get to do a lot more. So I was doing 100, 110-hour weeks, and I wanted to though. But in a way, you kind of had to get the work done as well. But I got so much exposure. Whereas, like, later on in what you think is a bigger, busier hospital, I actually did far less.
That's actually, because that's what I was always told, that if you do Max Facts, you'll never be scared of a tooth.
Yeah.
But then when I spoke to people so the difference, I guess, in this area would be being in the Cardiff Dental Hospital versus being in Newport. And if you're in Newport, you actually get hands-on exposure. You're doing your own lists. You're helping with surgery. Whereas in Cardiff, there's such a big pecking order that you're at the bottom of, that you're basically checking vitals all the time and doing skid work. And that doesn't, although you learn things, you don't actually get that hands-on experience.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. Like, because by the end of, because I do lots of grafting now, even though it's sort of cosmetic. I do a lot of tissue grafting, but that all started for me in that first year Max Facts in Poole, because they did a lot of skins and things like that. So all the tissue grafting and pedicle flaps and advancements and that, huge exposure, and to the point where they just let me crack on, and it was really good on that side. So it's but like I said, going back to the whole practice scenario. If something's going wrong with a tooth, you can just put things down. You can temporize it. You can come back or whatever. You don't have that luxury with surgery, and so that's where I think it's just whether you want to do it or not. Definitely get at least a Max Facts job under your belt. But like, absolutely, like I think as well. I don't know if you're seeing it, and it's I see a part of it. I think the NHS is changing, so maybe I'm out of touch with that. But a lot of I feel younger dentists now, there's a drive to like, oh cool, no, you have to do fancy stuff straight away, straight into private practice. And I think you miss so much, like, because I did one of the years I did a restorative SHO job, and half of that was with an endo prof. And I haven't touched endo for years, but I still wouldn't take it back, because on the big full mouth rehabs and things, I'm able to actually plan appropriately according to what that endo's looking like, probability of fixing that or improving that, and so everything you learn is never wasted. And so if you sort of channel yourself too early on, I think you end up missing out on so much in such a broad picture. Because obviously you're just doing implants now, but
No, I'm with you, Mike. But the issue is that, Flo can probably speak about this better than I can. But I think that even just working on the NHS in practice, when we did, where you were doing, and the people who were, you and I have been UDAs, right?
Yeah.
There's people before us who are fee per item who are getting even more good practice in.
yeah.
We still did dentistry on the NHS.
Yeah.
But is it fair to say, Flo, that like kind of maybe just as you were getting into the NHS, it started turning into triage and de-skilling?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously with COVID that had a massive impact on everything.
Yeah.
But the time that I was doing it was a lot of sort of emergency, like stabilization. I think that's the key word there is stabilization.
That's the propaganda word there. I mean, no,
Yeah.
it's fair, but the reason I'm saying this is like, it's such good exposure in the hospital with jobs like MaxFax, but I don't see a pathway for restorative work now where, right, so younger dentists can go on great courses, but then where are they going to perform this treatment?
It's and I think that's the difficulty now, as in that's where NHS, I did about 3.5 years, and it was great for me because you get those numbers under your belt, whether you like it or not. And that's where I think it's different. But then at the same time as well, I think a lot of people, again, when you come private, they think that you have to suddenly do the best work in the world, and you just need to do the basics well, and you're already ahead of the majority of people out there. So just taking that fear, but I'm guessing it's going to shift and change now, where I'm probably going to get more affordable private dentistry that's going to be more akin to the fee per item NHS, which would be good in that sense. But it's changed a lot, and it's sad. It makes me sad NHS not doing so well. That's because I was going to do I was actually going to do MaxFax. Even though my mum said don't do medicine. So I had my place in med school, so that's why I went to Birmingham, because Birmingham do a 3-year med school program. So I got my place there, and I was due to start. And then a big thing that put me off is this was around 2012. 2013, like the NHS was not looking great then, and I was like, I don't really want to be confined to at least another 12 years of training in the NHS if I did MaxFax.
Yeah.
And so that was a big decision to not do it.
That must have been hard, like to have that place in front of you, to have that passion for it, and then to have to make this kind of cold, logical decision.
Yeah.
Did you battle with that decision?
I still battle with it. Yeah, I still feel like one of the consultants I used to work for in that first job. I almost feel guilty. I feel like I'm like a bad child. I failed him, you know, because he put a lot of effort into me on that side. So I still battle with that. But then it was definitely the right choice.
So is that, when you say right choice, is that because of the passion and the fulfillment you're getting from your work now?
Yeah.
You don't feel like you missed out by not doing MaxFax because of the type of work you're doing?
I think definitely. I mean, if we were in a different country, maybe pursuing MaxFax still would have been the right thing for me. But I don't think here, not at the minute, unless things change, and that side. And so it's and that's the beautiful thing as well with dentistry going into it. I think you have so much control as to where you want to take your career. I mean, you know, you've both done it, and you're doing that so early on in your career, which is it's
I don't think she's doing it early. I think we're just old, dude.
Yeah.
You and I are just old now.
Don't say that.
I'm not that young.
Yeah,
I just
keeps
looked
saying that to me. She keeps saying, "Why do you keep saying like about how young I am?" And I'm like, because it's either that you're young,
Yeah.
or we're old.
Yeah.
I'll take that I'm young then.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you here on a Sunday doing a podcast. That's not. I guess we're talking about teeth or careers and that sort of thing, but you're not actually drilling teeth. So that's a completely different avenue of dentistry that you can. You know, I think you can get quite hopeless in dentistry because it's very isolating. It's very lonely, and you almost you're like, oh, I'm stuck with this. Whereas actually, it's you actually have a lot of control over where you take your career and that sort of thing.
What happened with the biking then? So you gave that up. Was that what you were going to ask?
That was
Sorry.
gonna be my question.
So you stopped in 5th year and you focused on dentistry.
So yeah, talking about how great dentistry is and how we had to mold it, I tried everything I could not to be a dentist.
Tell us about that. Tell us about you kind of is a bit extreme. I know wording it like this, but kind of falling out of love or disliking dentistry, and then kind of finding your way back to a passion.
Yeah, so like I said, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when to dental school. So at the time, I just wanted to race bikes. So I used to race downhill mountain bikes. So you start at the top of the hill and the fastest one to the bottom wins. You're racing against the clock. So a bit like downhill skiing and that sort of thing. So so yeah, I loved that. Used to race World Cup. So raced all over with that. Like I said, I knocked it on the head for finals. It was just too much.
Was there a chance for that to become a professional career for you?
There was. I just wasn't fast enough.
None of that jumping around on the beach.
Yeah. So like, so I would be kicking around top 50, top 70 in the world.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Enough
Awesome. No, it's good. But you can't make money of that. So the good thing is for my dental career, is because I was never fast enough to make serious money, I always worked dentistry part-time. So even though I've had periods where I've done race bikes or done music, dentistry's still been ticking along. So I've gained that experience. So I haven't missed out on that. So so that was a good thing for my career in hindsight.
Not to state the obvious, but did you ever consider the aerodynamics of the tash, the glasses, the hair?
Yeah, so no, they didn't exist on the mountain bikes. Yeah, it started getting longer towards the latter there, but no, it was short hair, it's clean shaven. Yeah, yeah.
Just no eyebrows, nothing.
Shaved legs.
At times. But no, you'd have a full face helmet on and stuff. So yeah, so it was good. So yeah, I did that, which was awesome. Definitely, I've got away with. That's not with you. It's just your fancy practice not having a wood desk. Trying to touch wood. I've got away with like injuries that interfere with dentistry throughout that. I don't know how, because I've broken so many bones over my shoulder, reconstructed my knee, ribs, scapula, you name it. It's somehow got away with all of that. I remember actually as a dental student, I just had my shoulder done. And I didn't want to tell anyone because, you know, just get shit for it. It's quite academic, aren't they? Especially Bristol.
Academics who make fun of people. Yeah.
And so I just remember.
Look at him doing physical exercise.
Yeah, I remember on the adult cons lab, I couldn't reach the light to adjust the dental light. I just physically couldn't reach. So I just have to sort of stand up and move it and that sort of thing, and just sort of carry on there. But yeah, so I did the downhill, had a year off for finals. I was actually on the advanced sports squad at Bristol, the acronym ASS, which they really didn't think through, because they had like a kit made and things, like a little matching tracksuit with just ass on the back. And it's like, guys. So yes, I did that. And then when I graduated, there was another discipline called 4-cross, which is where you race 4 people head to head over a short track with jumps and things like that. And I never, of all the races I did with the downhill, I never raced home World Cup in Scotland. They used to have one in Fort William. They still do. So there was going to be a 4-cross World Cup that year in Fort William, and I just wanted to race in front of a home crowd. So I was limited then with VT and down the south with no hills. So I just spent all my time in the gym and just got ripped. And then and I did all right. So I qualified for World Cup. I think I came 44th. But I just did that one race and then knocked that on the head.
Begrudgingly drawn back away from racing, or conscious decision, logical decision?
I started taking the Max Facts serious then. So
Okay.
that's where I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to do this. And that just, another reason why I stepped away from it, it doesn't allow time for anything else. It's all consuming, and that side. So it was mainly the Max Facts, and I stepped away from that. And then after the Max Facts then, and a big part of it is, I try not to get sad actually, because my best friend took his own life. From dental school, and that was a big reason to step away from Max Facts, because I hadn't seen him. So Ah, jeez.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to be manly.
No, don't.
No, it's important
And
to be
yeah,
vulnerable.
so that was a big thing. I was like, bollocks to this, bollocks to dentistry. This is shit.
Yeah.
And I went and raced bikes then around the world for a couple of years. So I did enduro then. So you pedal up and then you race down. And that took me all over. I raced in like Chile, Spain, Canada.
Did you have a
States.
travel bug, or did this just have a bonus to it?
Yeah, so no, I did enjoy it. I like going somewhere with a purpose. I don't like being a tourist. And the racing would always take you to parts of the world that wasn't necessarily touristy spots. You'd see the locals, you'd see the real life, you'd meet the real people. And so yeah, I enjoyed that. Part of it is I wish I opened my eyes a bit more when I was there, because I was so fixated on the racing that I missed a lot of it and that side. So yeah, so I've got so many friends from all over. It's taught me so many different things, and I think that's what's quite nice actually, because I think there's a danger, particularly in dentistry as well, with we're all very academic and we're very similar people, and so if there's a danger of all your friends being from a similar sort of ilk as yourselves, and whereas the racing, it's like, you know, I've raced with all sorts of people from all over, and it's really nice to sort of have that diversity, and there's, you know, they're all still my sort of closest friends and that side of it through the bikes, which is cool. So yeah, so that was pretty much bikes. When did I wrap that up? 2015 was my last full year of racing Enduro World Series, and like I said again, going back to, could I have done it professionally? I would love to. I just wasn't fast enough.
Yeah. Okay.
So like I said, I'd be kicking around between 50th and 70th, which I had sponsors, I had money towards races, you know, hotels, that sort of thing. But it wasn't putting food on the table.
You could fund it as a hobby, but you couldn't fund it for your life.
Yeah. So whereas you need to be sort of top 20, top 30 to actually get a decent enough salary sort of thing. So it came to a point then where I was like, you know, I'm getting on older wise then, so I was sort of early 30s then, and it's a lot of time. It's, you know, with the training, like I was training 6 days a week. You know, anywhere from like 2 to 6 hours, and and I've done it for a long time. I've done it since I was like 14, so I was kind of like, you know, I've done enough of that. But also then, actually, funnily enough, when I was doing the Max Facts, I started picking up. I've always played guitar as a kid, and I never did any sort of singing or songwriting. Like, I was in a school band.
What was your band called?
Next Left.
Nice.
And I just rhythm guitar. I didn't want to sing, didn't want to do anything else. I was just rhythm guitar. But when I was doing the Max Facts, looking back at it, probably as an escape, I started writing songs. And so just playing and writing and that sort of thing. And I'd done enough where I was like, oof, should I have a go at this or should I not? And I was kind of like, well, I've put my money where my mouth is, and bollocks, I'll just have a go. Because I think we're all kind of similar, but I'm one of those who just go 100 miles an hour at everything.
Yeah, I love it.
And it's good and it's bad, which we can come on to. Like, but it's
at least there's no regrets for how much you put into each thing. You pushed everything as far as you can go, and then there's no regrets.
Oh no, absolutely. But it can be at the expense of other things as well. But so I started. I just funded my own recording sessions. So I just rung around somebody, somebody put me onto a producer, reached in my pocket and just went in the studio and recorded 2 tracks. Because I thought, like, well, I need to go at this or not. So I did that, and then it just kind of snowballed from there with the music. Like, people got excited, and so I was in there recording more bits, and then I've got management, and then all that side of it. So then this sort of the music thing took off, which was cool, and that started picking up when the racing was going down, as like that was tailing off. I did one last World Series in Canada in 2016, and I hadn't trained properly. I hadn't been riding much, and I just had a big old crash. Like, broke my ribs, my scapula, and I'm like, oof, something's gotta, you know. So that's when I parked the racing and then went 100 miles an hour at the music. Then
that is awesome.
But again, that was cool. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. And
So you were making a living off of the music at this point?
Living is no.
It's
I made
music.
pocket money. I made pocket money from music, and then I
dentistry
still
was still ticking?
part time. Yeah, I
Yeah,
used to do between like 2 or 3 days a week.
Locum or like?
Just NHS.
Yeah.
That was NHS, and then started getting into private a bit. But
Okay.
so just enough to pay the bills on that side. And then it's music's a weird one because you've got to work really hard. It's the same with everything. And like if anyone's looking to get anywhere and they don't think they have to graft, that's not the case. Anyone at the top of anything has grafted.
Yeah.
And there's just no way around that. And music's the same. You need the talent and all that, but you have to work hard. But in music, there's a big bit of luck, and you can have luck go on your side, or you can have luck go against you. And so, it's again, instead of I switched training on a mountain bike to practicing on a guitar and writing songs and that side of it. So you do that side of it, but. Again, like talking about luck, so I went in the studio, recorded some tracks. That sort of snowballed a bit. The music industry is really weird and really messed up, and it's weird coming from dentistry, which is very professional. Like you have to talk through pros and cons of a fill-in, like all the possible outcomes and that, and it's like 40 quid on the NHS, whatever. Whereas like music, you can have thousands of pounds and things just exchange hands and that just on a conversation and like, sort that, or like someone's career decision and that side. So it's so unprofessional, incredibly unprofessional. Like I had like dodgy record label contracts put in front of me and that sort of thing, where it's just ruthless. It's like so a big bit of music can be luck though, because for example I had so it was my second lot of management actually. I had management before. Everyone likes to kind of control you, so they I've got no music anyway, it all got taken down, so they have control of what gets said and that sort of thing. And so that didn't go very far. Started from the bottom again, just released music myself, got some more management, got momentum, that sort of thing. And I had a guy called Mike Smith literally come to my house in Abercrave, which is just a little sleepy village. If anyone knows Dan Ogoff Show Caves, it's not far.
Yeah.
There you go. And Mike Smith, he was head of Universal at the time. So he came to my house and I played a set for him in my living room. Wow. Which was really surreal because he signed like Coldplay, George Ezra, like all that, which is crazy. But talking about luck, he was in my house one week and like, cool, yeah, let's move forward with this. And then a week later, his wife was diagnosed with cancer. And so everything, so he just stopped work and that went. So that was, to say bad luck for me, bad luck for him.
But it just shows how it all just hinges on that.
Oh, massively. And then, but still, it was, I was building momentum in 2020 was...
sorry, how gutting was that? I know you've been very sympathetic towards the circumstances, but did you feel like this opportunity had been ripped away from you through this?
It's a hard one, like I said, because the level of work hasn't changed. You're just grafting, and that hopelessness. It doesn't kind of matter. But I didn't lose faith at that one. I lost faith with COVID. That really killed my music career because I'd finally got some momentum going. Had some. Really cool trips and experiences. Like I've been at Nashville and done all the songwriting there. I've recorded in like Rockfield Studios, which is with Queen did Bohemian Rhapsody. And it's funny actually though because you have there's 2 recording areas and there's an area where like Oasis recorded, and down by the side of the recording studio is just this grubby little toilet. And I just remember a really humbling experience was like just taking a pee in this toilet, right? And you wouldn't even get 2-star on like a hotel rating. It was nasty, and just to think that all these incredible people like Liam Gallagher's had to take a pee in that toilet, like,
Very leveling.
we're all human, yeah. So that was cool. Some really cool experiences. Interesting one as well, actually. If anyone worry about making a bad impression. I had a meeting in London with a guy called Ollie Hodges, who's the A&R for Polydor Records. And he's like the main guy. So A&R, they basically go out and recruit. They look for new talent, that sort of thing. And Polydor's massive. They got like Led Zeppelin, all sorts. Like so I went for this meeting, and then we sat down at a little cafe opposite the big building, and I ordered a strawberry smoothie. I don't know why, I think it's the summer, and of course, like the first thing you do when you get a smoothie is I give it a good shake, right? Well,
I believe you.
yeah, you got to shake it up. And what I hadn't realised is the waiter who brought it over had already given it a shake and loosened the lid and just left the lid propped on top. So I've got like the main A&R from the biggest record labels in the country, and I just went like, just douse myself with strawberry bloody smoothie head to toe, and like everyone scattered from the table. I'm like, ooh, I'm not gonna forget this one here. So yeah,
memorable.
Funny enough, never got signed to Polydor. No.
Is your music still available?
It's not anywhere. No, it's again just internal politics. It's all a game. It's a weird one. Like I said, people like to, and so you take all the music. What they like to do is have all the music down, so you have control over what's heard and what's not, and what you play to people and what not. So people can't. They try and influence what opinion is made up about you by selecting certain things to show certain people that you're trying to entice and that sort of thing. So, yeah, no, it's not anywhere. I've got loads.
Maybe there'll be a live set, maybe for charity or something.
Yeah, I'll do something. I do. But I finished sulking because, long story short, I had a good, actually going to make some money in 2020 with music, because I had a load of festivals booked, and things like, I suppose the biggest were like Boomtown, Boardmasters. Like Boardmasters, I was going to be, I like to say same stage, Kings of Leon. I was going to be first on when everyone's sleeping, but still, I'll take that. Yeah. So and then, but that was 2020. That was COVID, and I just came back from Nashville, COVID hit, and so all music just stopped. And then afterwards, like, no one was interested in new artists because it wasn't a safe bet. Everyone was down on money because you don't earn money from selling music now because nobody pays for it. So it's like gigs and venues and that sort of thing. So the industry had nothing. So all the labels like, cool, I'm only backing someone who I know is going to make money, aka already established artists and things like that. So so that was crushing. That was a crushing one for me, because I'd busted, started from the bottom a couple of times, finally got some momentum, built up a team around me with like managers, music lawyers, agents, that sort of thing, and then just like nothing. So I sulked for about 2 years.
Don't blame you. And then you came up to be this. I think it's fair. I think everyone who knows you and who's seen your work is like a really top class clinician. And so, how much do you think you've had a few knocks? I didn't know your story, and these. How much do you think that these experiences, but then also your resilience in the face of these experiences, had led to the point where you're able to, because it's perform at this level clinically now? And
that's actually, that makes me realize the beauty of dentistry. And I kind of always knew that I did the degree, and dentistry is always going to be there. And I'd always said to myself, right, cool, right, you can go off and try and ride bikes, you can go off and try and sing songs, but at some point you might have to come back to dentistry and knuckle down. And so I always kind of knew that was there. But then also it makes me appreciate the beauty of dentistry, in that the harder you work, it's very linear to the results you get, whether it's financial, whether it's the quality of your work. And so actually that's really nice.
It's a really fair transaction.
Absolutely. And also I was going through a bad patch in a practice. Part of it is I didn't enjoy dentistry because I really wasn't putting any effort in. I didn't put any in. And it was only when I started putting effort in, so after 2020, that I actually got a lot more satisfaction in my work, and I really enjoy what I'm doing and that side. But a lot of that as well was I wasn't having a good time in practice, and rather than just stamping my feet, and I guess that's where those what you're talking about, where the setbacks and things help, I just thought, well, you know what, I can control myself. So if I just do the best that I can, then I can actually control a certain amount. So it really upped my game where I was like, all right, cool, I'm just going to up my dentistry, and then I can start calling shots on my career, on my choices, on that side. And that happened. So, you know, I was able to cut out the things I didn't enjoy doing, focus on the things that I did enjoy doing. And so many doors have opened up with that, you know, whether it's running courses or, you know, lecturing or that side. So it's, definitely. But like I was saying, same as everyone, I've worked hard and I still work hard. Yeah. Trying to find that balance is still not the easiest, and I think dentistry is a killer for that, isn't it? Like, stay in your own lane. Social media is a nightmare for that. Like, you just see all this beautiful work and that, and I always used to panic as a younger dentist when my buddies are going off and being like, you know, study MSc in ortho and that sort of thing, and I'm like, I've got nothing, I've got no letters, like, and that you get really anxious. Do you guys find that, or is that just me? Like,
oh, definitely. I mean, we did an episode on social media sort of last week, and it was, I think there is so much of that comparison you can end up doing, and that fear of that judgment. But actually, I found out about you because of the Instagram competition you ran on the do a day with veneers.
Yeah,
it got shared around, I think, my whole year group. So it was a very wise move on your side.
It's such a double-edged sword, though, isn't it? Social media. Like, I love it mainly because of the doors it's opened and who I've connected with and that sort of thing. But then at the same time, it's just hanging over you, like, oh, I've got to do this, and then you're seeing everyone else doing this beautiful work, and like, oh, I've got to do better, and that sort of thing. So,
so Mike, what were the steps aside from the hard work? What were the steps, or maybe the courses? Because you didn't go after letters after your name. You decided, I'm going to do what I do really well. What type of courses or what steps? What tangible steps?
Me, Ali. If you want the truth, I have never done a single cosmetic course, a single restorative course. I haven't done one.
So how? How are you doing this level of work?
I'm in that way, I'm a little bit special. I'm like, so for example, like photography, I realized early on in photography, I'm like, I need to, it doesn't matter how good my work is, if I don't take a good picture of it, then it's a waste of time. So I'm like, well, how do I improve my photography? And I could go on a course, and the honest answer is, like, sensible people go do a bloody course, because they give you all the information. Everything you need to know. Say loads of times. For example, like, instead of doing like Minesh Patel's focus bounce course, which I think is just the standard, and spending a day doing that, I went in a deep hole for like 3 or 4 days, just shut away, reading everything I could about photography and that side. I went in the garage, knocked up a little camera bracket out of some aluminium, and
which is awesome. By the way.
Well, then no, that wasn't the prototype. Seeing the prototype wouldn't necessarily say that. It was like a sad
just
boomerang.
like lollipop sticks.
But that's just my personality, and that's part of I love to sort of dive into things like that.
So again, the theme is, again, dedication, self-reflection, resilience, all keep coming back to how you figured it out.
And I guess, so with the restorative side as well, like, I spend a lot of time in the lab, so I'm there pretty much every week. And because it's so much to learn, like, and it's free. It's free education. It's all there. Just get in there, do that. So I learned a hell of a lot from that side, and it's, like I said, it's, as long as I've got a sensible head on my shoulders as far as sort of my hands and things I do, because I've got, I've done a lot of woodwork, metal work, like, I'm always tinkering and building motorbikes, that sort of thing. So I've got a sensible kind of engineering head on my shoulders, and dentistry is just that, scaled down. So I'm usually able to approach things from a sensible way. I'm not just going rogue.
That is amazing. But then you decide to set up a course, which is, I've heard from people who've been on it, an incredible course. So how do you then, if you haven't been on loads of courses, you then go, right, actually, I figured all this stuff out and I want to pass on this information. How daunting is it to set up a course from that perspective, where you're going, or do you think that was the advantage, that you weren't just doing what everyone else is doing?
I think that's a big advantage, which I appreciate now, is that I've thought outside the box, and so I haven't been told how I'm supposed to do it. I've just worked out what I think is best, and actually it turns out can be quite different. Which is great. So I like that it hasn't kept those sort of blinkers on. But then, talking about saying, no, it's daunting as hell. Like, just put me on a stage in front of 1,000 people anytime, like singing songs, because in music, or racing was honest. You're just against the clock. You don't have to worry anything about that. So it's just you and the clock. When it comes to music, it's subjective, right? So the fact that people are there, they probably want to listen to you, which is great. Though I've had plenty of gigs where like nobody's listening. That's the hardest gig to play, is when like no one gives a toss what you're doing and you're just there playing and trying to keep your focus. But it's very subjective, so there's not necessarily a right or wrong and things like that. Teaching, you're in a room full of very clever people. They're all very educated, and there's a definite wrong.
and someone's going to have a reference for why you're wrong.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So actually, I find it far more daunting because you owe. For me, same as my patients, I owe them a service. If someone's has the faith in me and kind enough to give me their money, like I owe you a service, and the same with the teaching, and that's, I won't rant too much, but that's my bugbear
with courses.
When people hold back to get you to sign up to the next course, or like, because I'll just give you everything, whatever you want to know, my deepest darkest secrets. And I loved your course.
Thank you.
Genuinely, like I nearly missed out on it because I was like, I got to sign up, and then I've started placing implants like last year. I'm like, I'll stick Straumann for a bit because that's sort of whatever. But then this was on the doorstep, and so I'm like, oh cool, I sign up, and then I had a big leak in the house. I'm like, ooh, this could be an expensive one, so I'm just going to pump the brakes on the course. And by the time I sorted all that, it was like only a couple of weeks before. There was one space like left, so I'm like, right, cool, sign me up. But I'm very conscious of like when you go onto a course that don't just get sucked in and throw that at everyone. So the classic is like a composite course. You go on a composite course, and every patient that comes into the door has composites. And I was very conscious of that with your implant course. I'm like, I'm not going to get sucked into like 7 implants and what Ali says and that sort of thing. And then like 2 hours in, I'm like, it's really good in that sense. But I loved what you did because you were just so honest. You showed your mistakes, which is big balls. Like, you know what I mean? Especially in like,
I got enough off them.
Yeah.
The mistakes are mistakes.
It's a really honest episode.
Sounds like 3. So that's because again, I think we can be arseholes as professionals sometimes.
You have to
as
put
well.
an explicit warning on this episode.
I
don't think there's any kids.
I do
to
struggle. You know
dentistry.
what? It's in. I do have a potty mouth because for me, I think it adds colour.
Yeah, no, you're great.
No, it's not. It's not good. Like because when I was told by a producer before, one of the songs I'd written had some swearing in it, right? And he's like, look, you've got to imagine that you're playing this to your grandmother. Do you really want to be saying that? Yeah. And it's so true though, because then you could be playing gigs and there'll be kids running around and things, and you just don't want to be dropping like the F-bomb or whatever. And so it should apply to podcasts, I think, as well. So I'll wrap it up. You just
I don't know who's listening
Flo's
to
a
this
bad
with their
influence.
kids or their grandparents.
I'm the bad.
Oh, yeah.
No, I do swear quite badly. I do it on the podcast. I'm
No,
good.
you're very good.
but,
Cool. So
Hold
sorry,
back.
where were we? Yeah. So your mistakes. That was cool to see because we all learn more from our mistakes. And what I took from your course, I'm like, I need to put some of my mess ups in mine, more of
That's
it.
awesome.
Like,
That's awesome.
because it's again, dentistry can be quite unforgiving. That's what you were talking about in the last podcast, wasn't it? Where we can be kind of cruel to one another. And that sort of backseat driving, and we all fear that running a course that you're going to get that person that asks those difficult questions. Just they almost tee them up like a guided question to then tell you how much they know, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's always fueled by insecurity, though, isn't it? That's the.
Yeah, I mean, but to be honest, like I've struggled with insecurity, which is again, I want like people that look at me and my work and like all that I've achieved, think, oh, you race bikes and music and your dentistry, and it's like sometimes I feel shit, like I feel that insecurity, and the same as everyone else, and it's not. I haven't got everything in a really neat pile 100% of the time. On balance, I'm pretty good now, and I've gone through like that, and again, it's like it's because have you talked about like a big thing with dentistry and is like that compassion fatigue? Have you heard that one?
No.
So it's obviously this is dear to me because of my body, right? And what we don't realize in dentistry is that so much crap is offloaded on us. Yeah. So if you speak to therapists, and one of my buddies, now wife is and I was chatting to her about it, and she's a psychotherapist, and she's saying like, yeah, there's something called compassion fatigue, where therapists are really in tune with that because everyone walking in the door is offloading their problems. They're dumping it on them, and if you're not careful, you onboard a lot of that. And so they have little things like she was saying, like sometimes she just rinse her hands under water, and that just helps just center her in between clients something, or she'd get up and she'd shake her hands and arms and legs, just consciously try and let go of a lot of things that have been onboarded. And then they also check in with one another like fortnightly. They'll have a therapy session themselves just to make sure, okay, like you're on track and that sort of thing. And whereas in dentistry, there's so much that's offloaded on you that you just don't realize, because the bottom line is most of us are doing it because we're trying to help, we're trying to make a difference. And nobody enjoys dentistry. Like even when they want it, they don't enjoy it, which is understandable. And so yes, we're all used to that patient that walks in and says, I hate the dentist, and it was like, oh, guys, come on. So we're all used to that overt kind of in your face, I hate you. Bearing in mind we're all people that want to be liked and we're trying to help, right? And then you've got the other side, which are really polite, but they still don't want to be there. So their body language is nervous. They're telling you that I don't like you in a million other ways. And so you get that pretty much from every single patient. And it gets dumped on us, that compassion fatigue, and like we're not taught to deal with it or offload it or anything like that. And I think that's partly why there's a big problem with that sort of stress level and suicide in dentistry, is a lot of that side, which I think people are getting more aware of, which is great. So yeah.
It's interesting you saying about that shaking, because that's what animals do, isn't it? When they get, if a prey animal gets chased, they've got all the adrenaline in them. The thing they do afterwards is they'll shake it off, literally shake it off to reset their sort of nervous system. Yeah. Maybe that's what we should do between patients, just have a shake session.
Yeah, and like it's
I want them to try.
or while they're there, make it interesting, So it's a cool one. So like it's like if anyone hasn't, because I've had therapy and I would recommend it to everyone. Like if it's an interesting analogy with this is one of my buddies whose wife is a psychotherapist. He's someone that I look up to. Like of all my mates, I'm like, he's switched on. He's a nice dude. He's doing well in his career. His attitude, like it's just got. I'm like, I admire you. I look up to you, sort of thing. And so he's a dude that's got everything going for him. And he's with his wife studying, being a psychotherapist. He was like, I feel like I should go for some therapy just because I'm not going to be on the same level as she is and get left behind. And he went, and even though he didn't need it, it's whatever. He's like, cool, amazing. I wouldn't take that back. So it's anyone who hasn't thought about it or done it, unless you've got the question I think you should ask yourself is a good reason not to do it. Then just do it. It makes you a better person and that sort of thing. So for me, it's on balance. Things are a lot. Like generally things are good, but even when it looks great, sometimes things aren't, but that's life.
And would you say that's helped you find your balance then? That's been a part of keeping balance, finding balance, or is that an occasional thing?
I think balance is ongoing.
Yeah.
I think you're constantly balancing.
Yeah.
A bit like when you're talking about wear, rather than saying you've got tooth wear, your teeth are wearing.
Yeah.
And that balance is balancing. It's continuous, and it's finding that balance. So, but I'm getting better and better at getting that balance, as it should on that side.
That was one of the first conversations we had.
Yeah, when you started here, Yeah,
you asked me, you said, do you think I should go to therapy? I was like, I think everyone should go to therapy.
Flo's always been a big advocate of it. I never have, and the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. And I get so curious, because I think also there's a massive difference in culture in, say, North America and the UK and approach to therapy. And actually that's changing over here, but it's almost in some cultures associated with there being a problem, whereas in other cultures it's associated with maintaining or finding health. and you just don't know. So yeah, really interesting that
Yeah, and for me it's like life changing. I would every second, like I was for being normally a pupil that excels at everything. I was a very slow learner when it came. It took a while.
I'm surprised you weren't at like Therapy World Cup with
My therapist
Between the
at the
50
time,
to
I was
70th
like,
of the
yeah,
world.
we'd had a long journey sort of thing, and it's coming up to like 2.5 years, and I'm like, all right, cool. So how long is normally you with most people? Like 4 to 6 months.
See, I'm very impatient though. I think I'd be like, look, I know you need to help me get the answers.
Yeah.
You just give me the answers and I'll work backwards. I just need the bottom line to start with, and then we'll take it from there. But I guess
What I will say, and I'll say this to everyone, is you've got to find the right therapist for you.
Yeah.
And if you go and you don't think it's right, don't be put off therapy. Go find, go explore
or you can
other
just
people.
go to each one and you can go, I hate therapists.
Okay, what is your response to that? Because mine always, when someone comes in and goes, I hate the dentist, my response is always, we're nice people, really. That's always how I diffuse that.
I say I won't take that personally. Okay. And then I just look at the chair and I wait for them. Because I did my 8 years of general practice where I knew generations of families. I was seeing them. I knew everyone's story. I got to the point where patients felt like that's what I was there for, and it was burdening me. And my biggest dread was a day of checkups where I had 15 minutes that I was seeing it as 15 minutes to get someone in and out while they're burdening me. And I never put it together. But at the end, when I left general practice, I realized that I was taking on all of these problems, but I never realized that there was a term for this.
Yeah. And compassion fatigue.
Compassion fatigue.
That's it.
It was. I was knackered when I got home. And now I just see it as I'm here to help you, and I see referral patients or one.
I was going to say it'd be interesting to know though, because for me it changed massively when I changed the way I worked. As in, so when I purely said, right, I'm just doing cosmetic. So the only people that are there to see me is out of their choice. It's not because they've had a 6-month reminder. It's not because they've been told they need a fill-in, that they can't feel anything or see anything and it felt fine. They're like, cool, yeah, I want to see you. So the attitude, I didn't realize that huge weight lifted. And I guess it's similar with you, even though you're doing really mean
elective.
things, drilling holes in jaws and things like that.
Yeah. It's people,
they all want to be there.
It's a choice people.
Yeah. So did you notice a difference do you think that's part of it?
Massive, but also I think when you dedicate yourself to a certain field, people are seeking you for your expertise. And so what happens is, I think there's also mindset shift from them, where if they have a consultation with you, they don't want to waste their money on small talk, which is nice. I want to give them value for that time. So even if, sometimes I need the whole 45 minutes to evaluate the case, but sometimes I need to impart knowledge on them. Then I'm like, look, I could look at this in 5 minutes, but I'm going to tell you about the long term, all the risks and benefits, all of that. So for me, yes, it's nice that they want to be there, but it's even nicer that they're coming to me as an expert in a field rather than as a regular touch point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I think I find I can be a lot more honest, that you don't have to have a magic wand and fix everything and tell them it's like you can literally say it as it is and they respect you for that, which is good. But yeah, massive change when I did that, numbing up, no one complains when I numb them up.
No, because they're getting something nice at the end of it.
Yeah, actually, there's none of that. It's just sit and take it. And if I'm doing an upper arch, veneers, whatever, there's a lot of numbing. Yeah. And just just take it. It's great. And they say thank you. And so, so it's good. But, but going back to the core side of things. So, so the poise thing, because I'm all for not drilling teeth. Don't get me started on the composite veneer thing, because it's we get ranting a bit here, because it winds me up, and we are making life difficult for ourselves as dentists by saying every time we do a composite, I didn't touch the tooth. Because I've spent half half of those consultations talking people out of composite. Don't get me wrong, it's great and it has its place, and there's certain absolutely it has its place. but it's also there's much better things to do. And when people say, "Oh, I didn't touch a tooth," well, you've put something on that's going to last 5-7 years. What happens then? That magically going to come off, or you got to drill that off.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, I take my time when I'm removing composite. I've got a good pair of hands. I use high, magnification loops. Guaranteed, I will touch the tooth in some way, shape, or form, and change that. So actually, no, it isn't been touched. And what you can do now with ceramic is you can keep it so minimal. Just be really clever about how you adjust things. That I would say it's less invasive than composite veneers, because you're putting something on there that you've barely touched the tooth. It's going to last sort of 15 to 20 years, which is why I'm sort of pushing that sort of poise thing. So poise,
and is that the protocols that you're teaching them on the course?
Yeah, I mean, so poise stands for path of insertion and structural enhancement, and you can apply that to every single indirect case you do. Because you need a path of insertion, and the structural enhancement side of things is you need to enhance the strength of that tooth and also the material that's going on it. And if you just think of every restoration in that way, well, then you will do the bare minimum of what you need to do in order to achieve what you want to achieve. Yep. And so it's never just a standard prep. Like, for example, my go-to with veneers is prepless or limited prep, and with digital, you can facilitate that. I can't tell you the secrets because actually the best things are always really simple.
Yeah.
But like, I don't prep margins and things like that if I can avoid it. You got way more enamel. Studies and things are showing that things actually last longer when you're not prepping, because you just got all that enamel that's untouched.
So Dave, when are you next running the course?
So it is. I should actually know.
Am I
date.
just stealing all your
No,
questions?
you just said Dave.
Oh my goodness!
Mike.
I've done this again. No,
Did you
okay,
say
no,
Dave?
I've called him. So
Did you
Mike,
say Dave? I
no,
didn't
I
think you
should
said
say
Dave. I think you said
no, I
Dave.
did say Dave.
You said Dave?
So
I respond to nice things. I'll be Dave.
You've been Dave before. You don't know it. So Mike came and we did a surgery together, and I called him Dave the whole time. And it's because there was yeah, and I apologized for it.
Did you?
I
was just focused.
And I said, I'm sorry, I keep calling you Dave. And you're like, I don't think you did.
Yeah.
So this has happened before.
That's cool.
And it's because
Is that
Dave,
like some mind games? Yeah. It's just like, oh, yeah, nice one, Dave.
I just call people whatever I want, see how they react. No,
some weird twisted thing that he does when he's like helping with surgery. Yeah.
Dave Gray was in my year.
Oh, right. Good solid name.
Solid name, but that's why I keep defaulting to Dave. Sorry.
Was he tall and handsome?
He was actually.
Yeah.
He was
you go.
extremely athletic, very good at things. Max facts.
There you go.
Very charismatic, deep voice. I mean, I feel like. Have you just come back? Dave, you just back here. So when are you next running the course?
So the next one's in May next year. So I think around like 20th or 25th, something
Is
like that.
Is registration open?
Yeah. So if you head on to Lodge Dental website, you'll find a link there to be able to book on. I think I think we're about half full at the minute,
cool.
which is good. So that side. So I think it's just I would like to. I'd love to be more academic for a start, because I've been trying to write a paper on this for about 2 years now. And usually it's at Christmas time at the in-laws when I've got a bit of spare time to sit down. But I would like.
You know who's good at.
I know what's going to happen here.
You know who's good at writing papers. Flo's great at writing papers and getting them published.
Oh yeah. Wow. Well, in which case I've got loads. I just jot them down on my phone.
I've got so much time.
Yeah, so not giving up your Sunday at all.
No, I will help if you do want
All right,
it.
cool. We'll sort something out. I need help. But it's I would like to change the way we approach dentistry, because of all the people placing veneers out there, and even the top guys, I think if you can learn to do it a different way, as in the way I teach, you would question yourself, why are you drilling so much tooth? And certainly the gold standard for me is just not to drill if I can, on that side. So
that's awesome.
yeah, it was good. But but that's from spending a lot of time in the lab, understanding that side. I do a lot of my own lab work. I do all the CAD side of things, ExoCAD, and so I'm glued up all around about just the materials and that side of it.
You
which is
have
where
a
I was
very
able
elaborate way of explaining what a control freak is.
Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it? Because it's like you set the, if you look at the grand scheme of like earning money, for example, the ceiling is quite low in dentistry in that you spend all that time and effort to hone your skills to be able to charge a bit more for this and do that, but you're still one person seeing one patient in and one patient out. And it's like you look at all the best sort of CEOs of companies, like they don't have any great skills themselves other than finding the best people to do those jobs, so that they don't have to spend all their time trying to do everything. So it's a downfall definitely when you're trying to progress by trying to do everything yourself. But at the same time, that's where I get my kicks. Yeah, I do enjoy it.
Well, it was an amazing episode. So thank you so much for coming
We're
on.
done already.
I think we could go for hours.
We could keep going, but
Flo's got other things to do.
No, come on, man. We didn't even get onto the bears.
we can talk about the bears afterwards.
Right,
but
okay.
Before we let you go, we've got the Pearls Quickfire Quiz, where you can earn your dental pearl. I'm really sorry, it's not an actual pearl I can give you. But firstly, what is your favourite procedure to do?
Favourite procedure to do? At the minute, tissue grafts. Like a nice connective tissue graft, just the fiddliness of it and just the intricacy and yeah, I love it.
I feel like I should say here, I've watched you do one and you are immaculate. You're an immaculate surgeon and every step is just so precise. Like,
What is your favourite scrub colour to wear?
Oof, I see, I'm conscious, I don't wear scrubs.
You don't wear scrubs?
I don't wear scrubs because I'm just trying to be cool.
I feel like you wear some kind of yoga clothes.
Yeah.
I was going to say like a band t-shirt.
I'm like jeans and a shirt. Yeah, with some big old boots. That's
Cool.
me.
Fair enough. With no context, which is your favourite tooth?
Ooh, a lateral incisor.
Nice. Ali always wants to ask them for the context, but and if you had
No, I'm cool. I get that. I don't know why I get it.
He gets it.
Yeah.
If you had to start again, what would you like to do?
Oh, if I had to start again.
This guy's done like
You know what? I would have loved to have been an inventor.
You are an inventor.
Well, and so that's, again, you can tailor things to how you do it. Because actually, I can't tell you the secrets, but I've come up with something for cement and veneers, which I think will be the gold standard for cement and veneers from this way forward, an instrument. And I purely did it to manage a problem that I was facing. And so it's nice that, like, I've made the camera bracket and other bits and pieces. And so, I am applying that side to dentistry because I love to be creative and I love to do great work. But if, starting again, I'll probably do some kind of sort of engineering type degree. And so I can just invent things.
Awesome.
Amazing. No, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
Thank you,
I feel like I've chatted too much.
No, it was an absolutely fantastic talk. It was really inspiring.
Yeah.
So, thank you all for listening.
Oh, please, thank you.
And if anyone's got any questions or anything, please send them our way.
Yeah.
Fab.